A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever does not enter a sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens it for him, and the sheep hear his voice as the shepherd calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has driven out all his own, he walks ahead of them, and the sheep follow him, because they recognize his voice. But they will not follow a stranger. They will run away from him, because they do not recognize the voice of strangers." Although Jesus used this figure of speech, the Pharisees did not realize what he was trying to tell them. So Jesus said again, "Amen, amen, I say to you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved, and will come in and go out and find pasture. A thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy. I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly." The Gospel of the Lord. In life, we encounter many voices, each one telling us what to do or how to do things. More often than not, it can be quite unclear which one has our best intentions in mind. Who do we follow? Since I'm always wary about who to trust, the first line caught my eye right away. Let's begin. Whoever does not enter a sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. This may almost seem straightforward, but let's take a closer look. In the first scenario, let's imagine that you are inside your house and suddenly you hear an unfamiliar noise coming from your backyard. What is that noise? You do not recognize it. You feel tense and suspicious. Why would anyone who means well try anything other than the front door? In the second scenario, let's imagine that somebody comes to your gate and knocks. You take a peek, you recognize the person, and open the door for them. Or if you don't know the person, you can keep the door closed. Either way, you feel safe because you were given a choice and your space was not violated. Here we see that the gate protects those who are inside, and anyone who wants to come in must pass here. It is the right way. In fact, it is the only way. It is the only way for one to be received openly and without suspicion. The shepherd enters through the gate. He knows that by passing through it, the sheep will welcome him willingly and will not get startled. In the same way, Jesus enters through the gate. He passes here to earn our trust. And when he does so, we know he is the shepherd because he leads the sheep through the path where they will be saved. Now what happens next? Jesus says, the gatekeeper opens the gate for him. This means that the shepherd does not barge in. The shepherd does not forcefully come inside. Even if he is a familiar face to them, he waits for someone to allow him to enter. Likewise, Jesus waits for us to open the door. Though he may bring many gifts, Jesus waits for us to be ready to receive him and what blessings he has to offer. Once the gates are opened for the shepherd, the sheep hear his voice, as the shepherd calls his own sheep by name. When the sheep hear the shepherd, it means two things: that someone is calling and that the other is listening. The sheep cannot hear him if no one is calling to begin with. The sheep cannot hear him if they are not paying attention. The shepherd calls them by name because he knows each one of them as individuals, not just as a flock. When we hear God's voice, It is because He is calling us. And if we listen with an open heart, if we listen without expectation, we too will hear His voice. When He calls us, He is initiating the relationship. He reaches out to us because to Him, we are not just any sheep. We are His sheep. He takes pride in us. He takes pride in you, and He wants to take care of you. That is why He calls you by name, because He knows who you are, and He wants to know you more. He sees your uniqueness, He knows your weaknesses, and He knows the deepest desires of your heart. In Isaiah chapter 43, God says, "I have called you by name, you are mine, because you are precious in my eyes, and honored, and I love you." Now, where does the shepherd bring his sheep? He leads them out. Because sheep are not supposed to stay inside. Sheep are healthier and happier when they get to graze and roam in a large open space with great pasture. Likewise, Jesus leads us to a place that will bring us joy. Let me rephrase that. He will lead you to a place that will bring joy specifically to you. But how do we know that we will be okay in this new place? When a shepherd leads his sheep, he walks ahead of them so that they know where to go. Jesus walks ahead of us. He takes the first step. By walking ahead, he is the first to be vulnerable among the rest. From what we know, Jesus risks his life so that we may be saved. Because the shepherd has been with his sheep every day, they follow him because they recognize his voice. He has grown warm with the sheep, and it makes them want to follow him. While in daily life, it might not always be easy to decipher which one is God's voice. Just keep in mind the Good Shepherd, the one who treats you with respect as he enters properly through the gate, the one who waits patiently when you are not ready to open the door for him, the one who calls you by name because he knows what your heart desires and wants to bring you there, the one who risks his life so that you may be saved. May we grow more familiar with his voice in prayer, so that we may hear his voice when he calls us, and that we may allow him to lead us to a life of God's abundance.